Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Meseta farming, specifically Dext base rank 1. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily. So if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the very first thing I want to point out over here is this post by a JP player saying that they were able to farm over 5 million Meseta in an hour with only a 100% RDR booster as well as a 50% Meseta booster. And so this definitely piqued my interest because I was like, hey, can you really farm 5 million Meseta per hour? So because of my interest, I was like, hey, let's actually try this for myself. So for the past hour on stream, we farmed with a bunch of people, and as you can see, we actually have a total of almost 2.4 million. However, this doesn't actually paint the full picture because after an hour of farming, we actually ended up at 2.2 million. What happened was right at the very end, like 30 seconds before my timer hit the 1 hour mark, we actually got a storm. And because we had a storm, we actually made almost 200,000. And the reason I say almost is because you do have a bunch of trash loot over here that you can actually sell in order to gain a little bit more money. And then there is, of course, all of the doll souls ones, which you can also sell. That's another 9,000 or 10,000 Meseta. But of course, we also have the temporary storage over here where I have another 336 that we can also sell for a little bit more money. So you can see that we do hit 2.4 million. So because of that one storm alone, we were able to earn an additional 200,000 Meseta. So what I feel like is it kind of boils down to two factors when you're farming in Dext base rank 1. First of all is how often you get PSE bursts. Each PSE burst you get, you earn roughly between 1 to 200,000 Meseta, somewhere in that range. And second of all is if you get a Forte PSE burst or not. If you get a Forte burst, which is where all the mobs are golden mobs, you very easily make about 300,000 Meseta per PSE burst. So that's actually a massive amount of Meseta earned. Now do keep in mind that the 300,000 I was talking about was if you get the PSE Forte and then you get the PSE Encore right after that. So technically you could say it's 150,000 per PSE burst, since it's technically two bursts together to gain you a total of 300,000 Meseta. But it still is very efficient, and it is still a substantial amount of Meseta when you're farming in Dext base. Now, I do need to remind everyone that it is currently PSO2 day, so as you can see here, I actually do have 200% RDR. And on top of this, I did pop a 100% booster, I do have Rapid Shape Fritters, and I also had a 50% N-Meseta booster. So I actually had 90% more N-Meseta, I actually had like 300% rare drop rate, because something that you need to pay attention to is because it's PSO2 day, we actually get a lot of boosts in rank 1. You can see, we get the experience plus 350%, rare drop rate plus 150%, as well as the fixer drop rate plus 50%. There's all of these boosts by default, which stacks on all of your normal buffs, which makes your RDR pretty insane, as well as just, you know, your Meseta gains just increase dramatically. Now, there is another disclaimer that I also need to make, and that is, of course, the auto sell. Because I am a premium member, I do have access to the auto sell. And when you use auto sell, you do gain the benefit from that 90% N-Meseta boost when things get auto sold versus if you manually sell things. So I am getting that benefit as well. So there are many caveats to this. However, the TLDR is basically if you are a fully free-to-play player, you are definitely going to be making a lot more than 1 million Meseta per hour. This is like worst case scenario. You're playing in a pug group, you're just derping around, you're just brute forcing anything, and nobody is farming efficiently. You're still going to make 1 million, 1.5 million pretty comfortably. Now, if you're in a slightly more optimized group, maybe you go in with people who know how the PSE bursts work, you split up, you fill up the bar to 4, and then you get the PSE burst, yeah, you'll probably hit like 2 to 2.5 million, somewhere in that range. And then if you go super optimized where everyone is playing Waker and, you know, everyone knows exactly what to do in order to min-max, and you get incredibly lucky with a lot of storms or a lot of PSE burst fortes, then maybe you might be able to hit a little bit higher, because I have heard stories on players who have done this on global, which say they've gotten 5 to 6 million Meseta per hour. However, from my personal testing, I feel like it's all RNG. At the end of the day, it's very, very much dependent on how many PSE bursts you're able to get, how many storms you get, and how many fortes you get. It kind of boils down to these three things. If you don't get a lot of PSE bursts, you're gonna make less Meseta per hour. If you don't get any fortes and you just get a bunch of regular PSE bursts, you're gonna make less Meseta. If you don't get any storms in that 1 hour, you're going to make less Meseta. Nevertheless, at the end of the day, Meseta gained is Meseta earned. And as we all know, you need Meseta in order to buy whatever upgraded gear that you need, whatever fashion pieces you need. So at the end of the day, Meseta is definitely a valuable resource. Now, does that mean that you should drop everything and just farm Meseta? I personally do not recommend that, because as you guys all know, if everyone drops everything and only farms raw Meseta and not all the rare materials that people actually need, such as augments and stuff and dual quests, where I talked about in Saturday's video, well, what actually happens is it causes inflation. And as you guys all can see from the base game, inflation is definitely not something that's very good for this game at all. It's actually bad for pretty much every game. So you do need to be a little bit careful. I don't think it's a bad idea to farm here for raw Meseta if you just need to buy something. However, I do not recommend people to go here with the sole purpose of like, yes, I'm gonna farm 5 hours every single day for like a month straight, hoard up a crap ton of Meseta and just buy everything I want. Because if everyone did the same thing, what would happen would be all of the prices are simply just gonna go up in price. You know, our regular hairstyles, if we rewind 2 to 3 years, you know, they were like 5 to 8 million for a regular hairstyle. And those were like the top end hairstyles. Look at hairstyles nowadays. If you want the wet and long hairstyle, you know, you're looking at 20 million. If you want the Dualante hairstyle, you're looking at 30 million-ish. So like a lot of hairstyles are definitely skyrocketing in price because of inflation, because people are hell-bent on only farming for Meseta. So personally, I do not recommend people to only farm for Meseta. If you need a little bit of money for your upgrades, if you need a little bit to just buy those balloon bosoms or buy that one hairstyle, sure, go ahead. However, I wouldn't say that Dext base rank 1 is the end all be all. I still do recommend you to mix up things. You know, if you want to make a little bit of money by farming dual quests, if you want some high-end augments, if you need them to upgrade your own gear, so forth and so on, you definitely want to mix things up in order to kind of balance things out and also avoid burnout, because literally 1 hour in Dext base and I wanted to shoot myself. I was already yawning like heck and I wanted to sleep. I can only imagine how crazy I would go if I farmed here for 5 hours every single day. So yeah, basically to avoid burnout, you definitely want to mix things up and do different things every single day so that you don't go absolutely insane.
Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again.
But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.